We are stuck in a fairly unpleasant weather pattern here across the Northeast as we're dealing with this upper level low. It's keeping temperatures way below normal, not just for us. In fact, the heart of the cold air right now is out over the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. Now, we've also been dealing with numerous rounds of showers out there. There's also quite a bit of wind being produced on the backside of the low and even to the south. Wind hasn't been too bad here across the Northeast, which is nice, but this is the water vapor imagery. You can see the big swirl. Our upper level low is basically centered right here, just on the edge of the Great Lakes and almost over upstate New York. So looking at some of the weather headlines, there's not a ton. New England still has some flood watches and warnings, especially northern New England. There's actually a few winter storm warnings still in progress across the mountains of West Virginia, and there's some wind advisories. And I want to zoom in into Illinois because this is a spot we talked about yesterday. I-55 south of Springfield, Illinois, is where that massive car pileup, that fatal accident, which involved like somewhere between 50 and 100 cars yesterday. They have another dust storm warning up, and it does include parts of that same interstate, which has already been shut down, hopefully to avoid a repeat of yesterday. So just wanted to throw that out that that's ongoing again today, which is horrible news. Meanwhile, snow is still falling across parts of the Great Lakes region. We've got some showers that are on the heavy side at times, even swirling across New England. We've even had a couple of showers producing small hail and graupel today. Shower chances should diminish as the evening goes on. Your 24 showing a lot of the activity winding down with sunset, but there might still be a shower or two around tonight. Otherwise, we're mostly cloudy and chilly with temperatures dropping back to the upper 30s by sunrise. Tomorrow featuring a lot of cloud cover to start off the day. Not much for rain in the morning. I think a lot of the morning may actually be dry, just chilly. Once we hit the afternoon, though, we'll start to see more showers flare up. They'll be isolated to scattered in nature. Could get caught in a downpour, but it's very hit or miss. We'll see shower chances continue into tomorrow night. Temperatures for Wednesday, again, chilly. Maybe a degree or two warmer than today if we can get some breaks of sunshine. But I think some middle, possibly even a few upper 50s across the lower valley are possible for us. The upper level low is going to be swinging to our south on Wednesday, and it looks like Wednesday will be the last day of likely showers. Once this low starts moving off the coast, shower chances really diminish. This is Thursday morning. Still a lot of cloud cover in place, and still the chance for a couple of showers, especially in the afternoon. And then Friday is actually looking similar. If you're unaware of the date, Thursday is May the 4th, which is like become International Star Wars Day, I think. Curious of temperatures, northeasterly breeze will kick in, so it's actually going to be chillier, even though we'll have a lower chance to see some rain. Then Friday, Cinco de Mayo, this upper level low finally starts moving away a little bit more. Temperatures could actually get up to about 60. Still battling the clouds, and yes, there's still a chance for an isolated shower in the afternoon. But then we're done. We go to a complete pattern shift over the weekend. Partly cloudy Saturday, we're back to the middle and upper 60s, seasonable. Sunday getting a bit warmer with highs hitting low 70s. Good sunshine stretches into early next week with a high of 74 Monday. Then we could see some middle and even upper 70s midweek. However, we do start turning a bit unsettled. There might be a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms starting Wednesday afternoon, and that could last out through the end of next week. Chris, back to you.